Welcome to Meet the Candidate with your host, Sulani Madsen. Meet the Candidate is your opportunity to see local candidates and hear about the experiences that have shaped their lives. Meet the Candidate is a nonpartisan community project brought to you by your friends at the Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, North by Northwest Digital, We Believe, We Vote, and the McGarry Law Office, the landlord's attorney. Now, here's Sulani.
Welcome to Meet the Candidate, and my guest today is Odin Langford, who is running for re-election to the Liberty Lake City Council.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, like I said as we were chatting before, it's just an opportunity to introduce yourself to the voters, and I always like to start with, where were you born and raised and grew up, those developmental years?
Yeah, important years, aren't they?
They are.
I was born at a very young age.
I hope so.
And in Fort Worth, Texas, and in Tarrant County. And we lived there with my mother and father, and I was the only child for all practical purposes. There was 21 years difference between me and my oldest half-brother. So
you were the tag-along in the family.
I was kind of unexpected. Mom was 48 when she had me. So I think one of my best memories, because we moved from Fort Worth to New Orleans when I was about 6 or 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And one of my only memories, I have two that are really embedded in my mind. One was the fact that you could sleep outside in a hammock and just look at the stars. Mm-hmm. That is a vivid memory. The second one was one of the only times that I got into super trouble with my dad was when we were putting along a road that's obviously paved now but wasn't then, and the car stopped, and he pulled off to the side or coasted off to the side and wanted to figure out what was going on, so he was checking everything, and he come back. I was in the back seat. He sat in the front, turned around and said, "What did you do?" And I must have been 5, maybe 6. And I said, "I filled your car with gas." He says, "Where did you do that?" "Front of the house." And he says, "Did you use the water hose?" I said, "Yes. You're full now." That was a long walk home at that age. But we all made it. We had to leave the car there, and we had to walk because we've made a couple of miles. But anyway, that was my best last impression of Fort Worth, and we crossed the Huey P. Long Bridge going into New Orleans.
Well, you meant well.
My heart was in the right place.
Yeah, a lot of 5-year-olds have a story like that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad you all were able to walk back home.
We made it.
So you grew up in New Orleans then? Started school there?
I did. I had started in Fort Worth, and coincidentally, my first grade teacher, her last name was my first name, and I remember her. Her last name was Odin.
Well, that would stick with you.
That stuck with me. And then we moved to New Orleans, and I transferred. I think I was in probably the first or second grade when we got here.
So went to school all your undergraduate years? You move around much?
No, we stayed put there. We moved between New Orleans and Jefferson Parish, which is the next parish west of New Orleans. And I went to a private school for the first 10 years and then transferred to East Jefferson High School, where I graduated, and eventually went to work with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, then went to the NOPD, and then back to Jefferson for a city called Harahan, Louisiana, and I spent 23 years there.
Oh, okay, so you've been in law enforcement all those years. That was your primary career?
That was it.
Well, what was the first job you had where you connected effort and money, besides filling your dad's car with gas?
Yeah, that didn't turn out to be a good career move, no. One of the first jobs that I can remember having was working at a filling station. We called them back then.
You're still trying to
gas station. I did try my wings for a while, but it kind of helped through getting me through high school at the time. Just, I remember gas being 32 cents a gallon. Okay, and they would actually ask you to do things like clean the windshield, check the oil and the tires.
It was a different kind of job then.
It was quite different, you know, and by then I knew the difference between gas and water. So that was helpful.
Yeah. Well, besides that, did you learn some interesting things about people that helped in your later career?
I did. I learned that you can't make everybody happy. You could go there and give full service to somebody, okay, and they would tell you or ask you questions that you're just not expecting. Like, did you fill the spare tire? Did you check it? Well, no, I didn't. Would you like me to? No, I just wanted to know if you checked it or not. And they were the ones that would have to get out the car and go back in the back and unlock the trunk in those days to let you in to do it.
So they would sort of know that, yeah. So you learned
So
customers can be
people
unreasonable. And,
People are funny.
Yes, they are.
People are funny.
Well, so you spent most of your law enforcement career in the South.
I did.
And
all of it.
and then what prompted you to move?
My wife took a transfer with her job and ended up being transferred to Oregon, to Portland. And we decided to live in Vancouver, Washington. And that began a whole new escapade of life with that transfer. We were going on a vacation from Portland, or from Vancouver actually, and we were going to go to a most beautiful place we thought we had ever seen according to the pictures. And that was Coeur d'Alene. It's a place in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We had to look it up, find out where it was, and we went. So we had the great idea. If we actually applied for jobs while we were out on vacation, we might get a little tax break. So we started looking for jobs while we were at the condo. There was no big demand for ex-cops at the time, you know, but unfortunately my wife did find an advertisement that kind of tripped her. And she says, let's go. So we had to break out the map and find a place called Liberty Lake for this interview. It wasn't that far away, so we drove there. She said, I talked to the manager here. We should be here for 15, 20 minutes, and I'll be right back. Great. I sat there reading a paper or magazine or something. Kept checking my watch.
And you're still in Liberty Lake.
And I'm still in Liberty Lake. Long story, she called back, or got back in the car, and she said, after 2 hours, by the way, she said, if they call back, we're moving. And I said, oh, no, we're not. And she said, oh, yeah, we are. I said, oh, no, we're not. We just bought a house less than 6 months ago in Vancouver. We were upside down in the house, and we're not moving. She says, well, I am. I said, oh, okay, gotcha. So we didn't make it back to the condo before the phone rang and they offered her the job.
Oh.
She turned around and looked at me and said, guess what? We're moving. We did. We went back home, loaded everything up. She gave notice to the first job that transferred her there, and we moved to Liberty Lake, and it's been a piece of heaven ever since.
Sometimes things just work out so well that way. I'm glad you listened to your wife.
Me too. Me too. She's well worth listening to.
Well, what turned your attention to elected political service?
One of my jobs with the police department, as I expanded my career as far as rank goes, was beginning at the rank of lieutenant and through the rank of captain. I was a representative for the police department to this local city council. So when it came budget time, I was there representing the department. I would be there off-budget periods to answer department-related questions from the councilmen or from the public who needed more information about some type of project or operation. So I was pretty familiar with what the city council does.
Mhm.
I heard about an opening, and I said, why not? Why not? I know about it. I'm willing to learn, and I'm ready to participate.
Mhm.
I said, those are all the ingredients that Americans need to do something worthwhile. So I dived in.
Okay. Well, I think I can give you that last a minute. I said I'd ask you the last question is,
Oh, sure.
here's your opportunity to tell everybody
Yeah.
why vote for Odin Langford for the Liberty Lake City Council.
Loaded question,
Of course.
but I will try my best. Folks, the reason why that you won't be wasting your vote is because I'm very experienced at what I do there. If I tell you that it's raining outside, don't waste your time going to look. Just get your umbrella. I'm pretty nonsensical when it comes to dealing with your finances, when it comes to dealing with your property and your votes. I'm the individual there that is worried about how government is taking care of you. There's nothing more important to me than handling your money like it was my own. And that's why when you drive around town, you'll see my signs and they say, needs before wants. I seriously believe in that, and I hope you do as well. Please take the opportunity to vote, no matter who you vote for. The important thing is that you cast that vote. And I do hope that it's for me. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
And thank you.
thank you, Odin, and no nonsense candidate for.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Meet the Candidate. Spokane Talks Online thanks our community-minded partners at Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, North by Northwest Digital, We Believe, We Vote, and the McGarry Law Office, the landlord's attorney, for helping make Meet the Candidate possible.